Nick, you need a shell bot. Anytime I ask a question, it would just say, "That's stupid, Doug," and then move on.
we can automate that.
Welcome to the Two Authors Podcast, an entertaining chat show hosted by best-selling mystery and thriller authors Douglas Pratt and Nicholas Harvey, in lively, humorous and informative conversation with distinguished guests who share their thoughts and experience about forging a successful author career.
Hey, welcome to this week's show, brought to you as always by the wonderful Vellum.
Vellum.
Yes, the greatest, most fabulous software in the world, universe, wherever you're at. It's all over.
Aliens use it. Recommended. The most recommended formatting software by aliens. Area 51 has recorded it.
I was at Area 51. Is it in Area 51? I guess they're still aliens, aren't they? Yeah, never mind. I was train of thought. Anyway, I was this morning. I was a little late this morning because I was working in Vellum, and I found some cool features that I didn't even know about. Mainly because I don't really write nonfiction.
Did you just blame Vellum for being late to our recording today? I did.
I did. Yes, I did blame Vellum a little bit.
We highly recommend this software for making you late to very important engagements. It also can format things for you.
Well, I was very into it, and I started messing around. I was like, oh, wait, I can do endnotes. Not that I need to do an endnote or a footnote or a headers, but they're available if you wanted to do. And I was like, that'd be perfect for nonfiction. Like if I were writing a nonfiction book, which I have zero intention of doing, but if I wanted to, then Vellum would be really cool.
The options there. I think tons of nonfiction authors use Vellum. It works just as well for them as it does for fiction.
Also, big thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. If you guys are getting any value at all from us, then please jump over to patreon.com/The Two Authors Podcast. Grab that free version at the very least, but for only $3 more, you can buy us a cup of coffee, keep us kind of energized and ready to go.
Well, and for that, you don't just buy us coffee, you get a bunch of extra shit.
It's true. Yeah, you do get the fun stuff in there. You get some bonus questions. You get some really crazy stuff that we throw in there, just like, that don't make the interviews. So it's definitely well worth doing. So
some cool content there.
Yeah.
And continuing our May Pod Pal shout out to our besties over at the Wish I'd Known Then podcast for writers, Jamie and Sarah. Their guest this past week was Michelle Park-Lazette, and she was talking about what's actually working in 2026 for debut book marketing, which is, I think they're doing a series, with debut authors.
It was like a new author series with them, which is really cool. I think that's awesome.
She's a debut fiction author.
Right, yeah. She had some background in journalism and nonfiction as well, so it's not like she was coming in blind. But it was a great show, really good show. So
yeah, but it's a super good show. And the big news this week is that Jamie Albright releases her long-awaited, much-anticipated women's fiction book, The Summer That Changed Us. This is a big deal. It's partially autobiographical.
That's a big word. You was pulling out the early morning big words for yourself this morning. So.
Yeah. Take over. I need a break. All right. So it's now this is a big thing.
It's
for
a very
Jamie.
good book. It's a very It's like a comeback for her. It's a lot. It's very personal. This book is a little bit about how she dealt with her sister's death, and I think it's going to be really. She's very proud of it. I think it's going to be a really great book. And Jamie's an amazing writer anyway, so I can't imagine this is going to be.
Yeah, get ready if you enjoy women's fiction. Get ready. You're gonna do everything in this book. You're gonna laugh your ass off because Jamie can't help but be funny, and you're gonna cry because it's a sad story behind it. But I think it's gonna be a big hit. I'm super excited.
Good luck to Jamie for that. So yeah, but our guest today is going to be pretty awesome too. So we have the creator of the Indie Author Magazine, also Indie Author Training, Chelle Honiker, who knows everything, and we're going to chat with her real shortly. But first, I think we have a listener question from our recent guest, Robin Harding.
Robin Harding, thank you so much for sticking around for a listener question where you're going to turn the tables and ask us something. What do you got, Robin?
So I'm curious as to how much time you both spend on marketing and promoting your work and whether you get any outside help for that part of it.
That's a very good question. A lot. So it the writing of the book is, a lot of people think that's the hardest part, and really it's the marketing, I think, that we have found is the biggest challenge. And even when we write our books, I think we're marketing at this point because we've learned kind of what the market is looking for. So we're already thinking about it in terms of that as we start out. And Nick, you can tell me I'm wrong. I know you don't have a problem doing that, but
so no, you happen to be right this time, Doug.
But so that's a lot of it. It's trying to think ahead of time what it is the market's wanting, first of all, then deciding what is good marketing. And I've been doing it for a while now, and I've done all the ways you shouldn't do it. I've tried them, and so we've tested out. You can, all over Facebook, and try to share and book everywhere you go in every single group, and that doesn't help any either because nobody's picking them up. It's inundated. Really, we've found, and I think both of us would probably agree, the main and best way of marketing is going to be just Facebook ads and Amazon ads. They're both kind of direct the right people to the right place, and that can be a challenge because both of those change their algorithms on a what feels like an almost weekly basis. So you're kind of constantly having to pivot and figure out what is new to do. So Nick, you want to chime in with me?
Very similar. I mean, the amount of time in the day, I'd say it's split pretty evenly. I know some people do, I'm going to spend this day on writing and next day on marketing or what have you, or one day a week on this. But I tend to do it all in a day and split the day somewhat. I tend to be more creative in the mornings. So I try and get words down in the morning. And I tend to take little breaks and take care of bits and pieces that I can take care of. So if I need to do some graphics to give to my virtual assistant who does a great job doing social media stuff for me, I'll do that. And little breaks gives my mind a rest between writing. But it ends up being about a 50-50 split between the day, between working on the business side of it, whether that's marketing or other aspects of the business, and about 50% on the writing side of it. And the other part of your question, do you have people help with that? Yep, I have Lee, my VA, helps me out with some of the social media stuff. My wife works for the business now, so she's doing things like translations. She's handling all of that stuff and a bunch of other things she's taken off my plate. And then I have used some services for helping with marketing and running ads. I'm using some people right now on one side of things. It's a big time saver, but then there's managing the managing to make sure that's on track as well.
It's also something you got to think about. Like we're both several successful authors, but when you first start off, you still got to do this without any budget. So it becomes you learn a lot about it on your own to figure out. And part of the reason we do this podcast is we both made lots of mistakes. And so we want to make sure we help people know those aren't don't do the same thing we did. I mean, it's changed a lot just in the last 10 years that we've been around, but
changed a lot in the last 10 minutes.
I was going to say, we probably had to pivot right now. It's the kind of business it is. But yeah, you never know. And it's everything because, you say marketing, people think about it's just the ads and stuff. But we both handle our newsletters. We both handle bringing in people to the newsletters. My wife does all my social media. I also have somebody who does my ads on one side of it. We have to make sure we get the book covers done. That falls under us trying to find that. And, we both have really great book, finding the right book cover artist and doing all that. It's something else a lot of people don't think about until they start doing it. So,
yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. Great question. Thank you so much for the interview the other week and for sticking around for our listener question. Thank you, Robin.
Happy to. Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Chelle. It's so great to have you here with us today.
Thanks, guys. I'm glad to be here. Ugh.
You just told us you've been running for like a month all over the world, so I can't imagine you can be a little tired like that. So,
just gonna take a sip of coffee and start again.
You're all over. It's okay.
You have a right to be jet lagged, I think.
So we're just gonna start off. What you tell the audience a little bit about how you got started into writing and publishing and the whole world, because you got like. Nick said just before we started, you're spinning a lot of plates. So we're going to talk about a few of them. Yeah.
I spin a lot. So I started actually as a trad author. I had a trad deal for the travel industry. I was the director of operations for the Travel Institute, and I was writing books for the Travel Institute. And I, on the side, was going to NaNoWriMo events in Austin, and a very good friend of mine dragged me to a couple of Smarter Artist events. And when I saw that there was this entire world of indie publishing, which at the time was sort of equated with self-publishing, but isn't so much anymore, I said, oh, God, I can do that. That's cool. Let's do that. So then I went to the 20 Books conference in Edinburgh, Scotland, and met my very best friends, found family, and together a couple years later, we started a magazine. So that's how I got into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Indie Author Magazine, correct? So you guys started, I mean, what was your mindset behind, hey, let's start a magazine? Having started a magazine in the past and watching it fail, I'm curious. What led you to go, let's dive down this path? So,
you know, hubris. I don't know.
Fair.
Delulu is the Salulu, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so at the time, there were a bunch of us that were writing together. It was just, during the pandemic, right? So we were all meeting together on Zoom twice a day. We were chatting. We were sharing ideas and courses and all kinds of things. In the 20 Books group, you weren't allowed to talk about certain topics, craft being one of them. And so we were kind of talking about it on the side and helping each other so much that Alice Briggs, who was the co-founder, had a background in fine art, and I had a background in travel magazines. And we said, hey, what if we sort of smushed these together and kind of gave back as much as we've gotten from the industry and made it more of a deep dive into things that were going on in our industry, see how many people we could help with that. So that was kind of the beginning of it. Is there were just like 22 of us that were feeling so poured into that we wanted to pour into other people. That's really how it started.
That's great.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It started as a spreadsheet, and when the spreadsheet got to like 500 lines, I built a website, and that's kind of the story of my life and all things, right? That's why I have 700 domain names sitting there.
Oh my God.
Just, it's an addiction. You're just kind of dragging them in.
It is. I can stop anytime.
You can
stop anytime.
Fair.
They are addictive when they suggest them, especially when the most dangerous thing you can do is go into one of them and search for the domains, and they offer you up a bunch more, and then they offer you a bunch more that are close to that. And it's like, maybe I should, darn it. Now I'm paying $20.
Quick side note then, what's the most useless domain name you own right now?
I can tell you the most useless domain name that I tried to get last month was I was at the Ally conference and Joanna Penn called me Popcorn Brain from the stage, and I immediately went and tried to get popcornbrain.com, which is taken. But I tried real hard.
Wow, that is an addiction there. So now we got to drop comments so we see if Chelle will buy our domain name from
Popcorn Brain. All right.
Popcorn Brain.
She meant it in the nicest possible way.
Of course she did.
She did.
I'm sure.
And
Joanna's
she actually said, she said I was a lot like her in having a popcorn brain. So my job is done.
I feel like I have a popcorn brain too. So I understand that statement right there. Just like everything wants to just, it's a really good.
That is a particularly articulate way to say it, honestly. It was an honorific as far as I'm concerned.
One of the other things that you kind of really talk about, we're kind of delve in a little bit more, is automation. And I am personally intrigued by the idea of automation, mainly because I am immensely lazy and I like to see things do it on their own without me having to touch
Amen,
it.
baby.
So when you're talking about author automation, what does that actually mean for someone like me who hasn't really dove into it very much? So
a year ago, I would have had a different answer. A year ago, I would have said it is utilizing no-code and low-code solutions like Zapier and Make.com and N8N to streamline business processes and practices and kind of automate them so that you don't have to do them.
What kind of practices would those be? Like, just so I can wrap, like, is it like an email or is it like social media?
Social media, email, right? There's all kinds of things, because in the world of technology, when two things can't talk to one another, like Gmail talking to Excel spreadsheets, for example, you can use a no-code or a low-code solution to make them talk to one another. So you can get data that comes in via email and put it into an Excel spreadsheet. So at its core, automation is just making two disparate apps talk to one another. that was my answer a year ago, right? How to automate your social media, how to automate your email, how to automate your sales processes, how to automate your KDP numbers, all the things that we do as authors, really publishers who write as opposed to writers who publish. We have an entire business side of our business that we need to pay attention to. And automation can help you, get back to the thing that only you can do that you love to do, which is to write. That's the thing that I used it for initially. Was I hate social media and I didn't want to do social media, but I also recognized that I had to feed the algorithm beast and I had to be on social media because that's where readers are. I didn't want to do it, so I could either delegate it or I could automate it. And I did delegate it for a long period of time, but I found that within delegation, we had interns that would post 5 fire emojis. That was totally not on brand for a business journal like Indie Author Magazine. And so that's really how I got started with automations. Was I wanted to automate it so that it was consistent, so that I didn't have to think about it. It was off my plate, but I knew it was getting done. And so from that, I started to document my journey in automating things. And it ended up being the newsletter, authorautomations.com, which I didn't set out to do another thing. I was just getting asked about it. And so I started writing it down. I accidentally started a Substack bestseller. Just writing stuff down. Oops, hate when that happens. From that, though, I use AI for business work. I don't use it for writing. I don't write with AI, but I do see the capabilities and the possibilities that it has to streamline the business side of our businesses in ways that we've never been able to do before. And for me, it was not just that I was able to do more, it was that I was able to get ahead of what I've always wanted to get ahead of, right? So I've had this huge list of things that I've wanted to knock off, and I was never able to get to the things. For example, doing SEO on our website, or putting keywords and renaming all of the imagery that we have in the magazine. I had all these grand plans, those someday things, and I wasn't able to get to those until I started to utilize AI. So my use of automations has sort of shifted from no code, low code, although I do still use them, to letting AI understand my business and do things. And even in the last 4 months, right, in the middle and towards the end of December, things changed because AI went from being chat to being agentic, meaning it can do things for you. Instead of, spitting out numbers in a chat that you paste into an Excel spreadsheet, it can create the Excel spreadsheet with pivot tables, which I can't do pivot tables. Thank God something can.
I know what a pivot table is. Nick, do you know a pivot table? You probably do.
I do.
Yeah, I knew
Nick's
he loves him some Excel. So
I don't want to know what a pivot table is. I want to write books.
So the agentic, and I've just honestly, and I know Nick and I both, because we both just shared kind of the same information a lot, but we both just kind of started looking at agents and stuff in AI. And quite honestly, I've been using AI the same way you're saying, like as a business. I didn't put my numbers, but I'm doing it in the long way. So when you talk about agents, could you kind of give it a little bit more of a description of what we're looking at for someone, like me, who like barely figures out the chat? I just ask it all my search questions,
I would say if you're just getting started, the best place to go is Claude Cowork. And Claude Cowork there are really 3 levels of Anthropic's product. There's chat, Cowork, and then Code. And Code has its own set of possibilities that are beyond what we can talk about today. But Cowork sits comfortably in the middle there. And Cowork, you can connect to your email, you can connect to your Google Drive, you can connect to Notion, and you can connect to your desktop so that it can take action on your behalf with your permission, with some constraints to actually do some things. You're still chatting. There's still a chat window, but instead of, like I said, copy pasting, it can actually do some things. Claude Cowork is getting better. It's brand new. It's not sophisticated, but it does sit in that middle space so that you have a comfortably familiar interface. It doesn't look really scary like the terminal of a computer, and it can actually do a lot of things. Like I said, it can manage your email. It can give you a summary report of what's in your email every day. It can get all of your sales stats from places and bring them in. You can connect it to Shopify. You can connect it to Wix. You can connect it to WordPress. And once you have all of those things connected, you can just ask it a question and it will go fetch that data, as opposed to, again, like I said, logging in, copying and pasting, and having it parse things in a chat window.
And now, a quick word from this episode's sponsor. One of the best things about Author Nation is hearing from all these incredibly successful and wonderful authors. And one of the featured speakers this year, Mary Stone, thriller author extraordinaire.
I cannot wait to meet Mary in person. You met her last year live there at Author Nation, right? We'll both get to meet her this year. She's one of my favorite thriller authors and a former guest on the show.
And now, let's get back to the show.
For someone just starting out and dipping a toe, it's, the whole AI thing is, some people are, all in, very confident, been using it a while. And for some folks, it's been a tentative step and maybe they're unsure. And so what is a good way of dipping a toe and asking it to do something for you in your author sphere, just to get started? Just
to get started, you could have it. I know some things are very scary, but email is one thing that we all have to sort of stay on top of. And if you're like most people, you've probably got 38,000 unread emails.
Hey. You're being very accusatory here. I got it down to 37,000. Thank you very much. So,
Doug, well done. But you can have it go in and clean up your email box very comfortably. You can say, go in and delete anything or archive anything. If you don't want to delete it, you can always just have things archived. You can have it create a summary report of things that are more than 2 years old that you might want to get rid of. So you can actually engage with it and ask it to help you clean up your email so that you don't miss any ideas or, have things in your drafts that you meant to do. It can go through and organize the tabs in your inbox so that they're more like move things from promotional to inbox, that sort of thing. It can deal with spam. It can unsubscribe you from newsletters. So it can take action and do some of the icky work. I sat down on a Saturday one day and managed to clean up my inboxes and got to inbox 0, which is insane because I have 7 inboxes.
So another automation you touched on earlier is your email, your newsletter list and setting up. Let's talk about that a little bit because that's always an interesting subject. So you're talking about it like an onboarding sequence. So if someone on your newsletter list reacts to something, or if you're doing a back of book link and they link to join your newsletter, you set up an automation. What does that look like?
So there's a couple of automations that you can do there. One is, for example, let's just take a direct sale off your website, right? Let's say somebody buys a book off of Shopify or they buy a book off of WooCommerce. You can automate it so that they go onto an advertising audience list in Facebook, for example, which now shows them a, hey, would you leave a review ad instead of a buy the book ad? Or because they've purchased it, you can put them on a list to let them know about the pre-order for book 2, right? So you're leveraging automation to move people around smartly so that they get the right offer at the right time, as opposed to just sort of spray and pray and hope that they see the thing. You're being very strategic about ethically stalking them with Facebook ads or with email. Ethically stalking them. I said it in a British tone, Nicholas, so I hope that helps.
It sounds better like that. So.
Sounds more acceptable.
It's you set it once, you set it and kind of forget it so that people are more prone to act based on the automations that you've set up. So it's different from the automations that come with email service providers, right? These are automations like within Make or Zapier where you can move them around on your newsletter lists and have them take action. The other thing that I do is when someone subscribes to my newsletter list, I also put them into a Google Sheet automatically as a backup with the date and time and the IP address that they subscribed from, so that if I'm ever locked out of whatever email service provider, I've got a running backup of all of them. And I don't have to remember to go in and download my email addresses. I've always got a backup of my own email addresses.
That's much smarter than I do, for sure. So,
well I always ask people, when was the last time you backed up your newsletter list? And invariably, like, no hands go up.
I did it last week because somebody asked that question. I was like, ooh, I better do that. So while I'm thinking about it.
That's funny. I miss doing it on the 1st. I have a note in my calendar on the 1st, so I do it monthly. And I actually missed doing it this month, so it's a reminder for me to go do it. But setting up an automation is a much better idea.
You can set up an automation either in like make.com or Zapier, but you can also now go into Claude Cowork, and Claude Cowork has scheduled tasks. So you could set up a scheduled task for Claude Cowork to log in to your email service provider and download it, and then send you a note that says, hey, I've done this, and then make you coffee or whatever. You can, it'll do all kinds of cool stuff.
If it can make me coffee, that'd be pretty impressive. So
it makes my coffee every morning, actually. Not kidding.
Really?
Yeah. I have an automation that when I say, hey, Google, good morning, it plays my hype music, which is Eminem currently, to get me out of bed. And then it flips on, I have a smart plug that flips on my coffee and starts my coffee.
Wow. Okay.
You can automate
So you
anything.
automate yourself. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
I automate everything. I have an automation that when my daughter's phone connects to my router here at the house and I know they're within 50 feet, it'll unlock the door and play a song for my granddaughter who walks in the house.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Because I can. It's nerdy. I have no hobbies, you guys. This is all I do is automate.
Sounds like
I don't crochet.
You can have that automated too. Automatically deliver your yarn or whatever that you crochet with. So you've mentioned Zapier, remind me there,
Zapier, make.com, and N8N. Those are the three big ones.
I will say, are those the big tools and platforms? Or are they more that you find are more powerful for authors? And how would you go about using them? So,
yeah, not really more powerful. Those are the big three. Those are the ones that connect most safely to other companies. There's other companies that will let you connect, but I'm a big proponent of, how are they using my data? What are they doing with it? Am I giving them too much control? Am I giving them too much power? I'm actually the nerd that reads the terms of service and the terms and conditions of things. So yeah, I only use Zapier, make.com, and N8N for those. And with N8N, you can take it one step further if you are concerned about privacy, and you can self-host it, which I do. So I have my own contained version of N8N. I have my own contained version of LLMs too. I have a Chelle bot that is on my desktop and no one else can touch it, and it's not accessible from the internet because
Chelle bot's going to take over the world. That's the one we should be worried about.
Working on it. She's trying. But I did that so that my team could chat with it. So my team can chat with Chelle bot, and it will draft emails exactly like my voice. It will create, newsletters. It will create social captions. It'll do everything as if it were me. So
Nick, you need a Chelle bot. And anytime I ask a question, it would just say, that's stupid, Doug. And move on.
we can automate that. All right, let's move on to, you do a lot of author coaching of various things beyond automation, but also on craft. So let's talk about that a little bit. You just naturally, from those groups and stuff, that led you into starting to coach?
I do coaching, but really I do just technology coaching. I really, really just help people kind of finesse and streamline. I've got a mastermind group where I've got folks that are in there, and I'm kind of their fractional chief technical officer for things. So if they are trying to decide what email service provider would work for them, or if they have questions about how to set up a website with Shopify, it's kind of what I do is I help them figure out the tech stack that they should use based on their own personal needs and what they want to accomplish.
I have a question about, so you deal with all the different mailer companies, and do you have a preferred platform or a preferred platform for a level of author?
I prefer platforms that don't restrict you and don't have what I call a success tax, meaning the more subscribers you have, the more you pay. I feel like that's a bad business model. So there are two companies that I like. One is called Brevo. Used to be called Sendinblue, but Brevo doesn't cap the number of subscribers you have. Your plan is based on how many emails you send. So I like Brevo for that. The other one that I like, which is actually my top, is called Fluent CRM. And it is a WordPress plugin that you have in a WordPress website. And you are in 100% control. You just pay for the plugin every year. It's something like, I think it's like $100 per year for the plugin. And then you pay for the emails you send. You use like Amazon, and you pay like 10 cents for 10,000 emails that you send. So it's very, very cost effective. I'm just a huge proponent of owning your own tech stack too. So Brevo is decent if you want a service as a software, a SaaS company, but Fluent is my absolute best for most authors' use. And then you own it, right? Your emails aren't uploaded anywhere else. They're sitting on your website, on your server.
Yeah, and I think most people are in the MailChimp, MailerLite world, which absolutely, when you add more subscribers, they charge you a lot more. I got on Flowdesk last year when they were still unlimited. I got on that plan with them, which I'm sure they'll leverage us off of at some point, because they've gone to the same system.
It's been
now.
About a year, so you're about ready to get a price increase.
No, not quite yet, but they've moved to that same scheme now. And one of the problems I found with Flowdesk is the links in the back of my book, sending them into subscribing. You have to use a Flowdesk embedded code on the landing to get it to go into a group. You can't just send it on over, because I have a landing page within my Wix website to capture those and then send it into Flowdesk. And then I can't put them into groups in Flowdesk. It won't let me, because I'm not using their landing page embedded. And I don't want to go to that, because I went down that path with MailerLite.
I bet we could automate that.
We got to talk. Yeah, we got to talk, because I need a way to do that, because I've gone back and forth with Flowdesk and I can't do it with them without using their embedded.
They don't want you to, right? And that's the thing. They don't want you to. They want you to do it their way so that you have less incentive to leave or less of a pathway to leave. I am a huge proponent in not being locked in. I don't want a tech lock-in, which is why I use Fluent CRM or MailPoet. MailPoet is also a WordPress. And you can, even if you're on a Wix website, you could set up just email.yourdomainname.com and just have an email set up, right? Just a WordPress setup with one of those. You don't have to use it for your entire website. You can just use it just for your email.
All right, we got to talk.
This is what I do. I blow people's companies up.
It's like, yeah. I have a feeling, Chelle, Nick's going to be bothering you for a little bit, and like you'll be on some Zoom calls with him pretty soon. So he'll be trading you. So let me ask you: you've dropped a lot of tools here. Is there a point? I mean, I guess, and we as authors see so many different. And it's weird because all the ones you dropped are the ones I've never necessarily looked at. There's just so many different tools out there anyway. At what point are we overcomplicating our automation with all these tools? I mean, is there a way to simplify it down? Or, I mean, you obviously have it simplified down. So for those of us who are like, we're trying automation, and I like automation a lot. I don't necessarily always know all the great tools. And sometimes I feel like I am overloaded with, well, I've got all these tied into Shopify or the MailChimp or even just my KDP page. I guess that's it. How do I make it easier for me?
So tool creep is a real thing. And now, I mean, if I'm being really honest, I'm building a tool that does that. And you guys didn't even know that I was going to say that. But that is a thing. It's called Storyteller Operating System. And it functions as writing studio and a project studio and a tech studio all in one place so that you have everything in one spot. So that is a common refrain, Doug, that I hear a lot is, I don't want to have tool creep and 16 things in 16 places. How do I bring it into one place? So we are building that. Aside from that, I think the one thing that I would say to people is that they need to keep in front of them the objective of what they want, because it's easy to get bright, shiny object syndrome and to start building new tools or looking for new tools or adding on new tools or adding on plugins or adding on things. But if you keep in mind that your objective is to sell books, always weigh whatever you're adding against that. Are you selling more books by adding this tool? And if the answer is no, if it's just a pretty bell and whistle, or if it's just something that's going to be fun and cool to play with, don't get it. Don't buy it. Don't use it, right? Don't spend the money expanding if it's actually not going to meet the objective of your business, which is to sell books. And believe me, I test every tool that comes down the pike. That's literally what I do all day, every day. And then I write about it in authorautomations.com because I hear that a lot. People are like, I've got 15 different tools. So we're building a storyteller operating system to kind of address that for most authors, right? For multi-pen name authors that are selling a ton of books every year, it's a tool.
Nick said if you'd like him to beta test that, he would love to tie that out.
Happy to. Yeah. It is in open beta right now. I'd be glad to shoot you something.
A quick word from this episode's sponsor.
Hi, this is Jamie Davis, fantasy author and Author Nation show manager. I hope to see you at the conference this November. Until then, here's something to make you smile, or at least groan a little. Few people realize that in the days of yore, King Arthur had to build his own round table. Luckily, he had a knight who was perfect for the job. Have you met Circumference?
Now back to the show. Touching back on what you were just talking about is, you spend this money on a software or process or what have you, and does it make you more money back? The tricky one comes, I think, a lot of the time for authors is time. Okay. So there's certain things you can do that is going to, you might be able to tie it in. If you're selling direct and you have a tool that allows you to retarget, there's probably a way of tracking the sales that it generates from that system. But a lot of the things we do, and having maybe a VA help you or an automation help you, is saving you time. And time is that squidgy thing. What did you do with the time that it freed up, right? Did it just buy you sanity time? Did it buy you time to write, or did it time to do something else? So I think that's a real tricky one. It's one I always weigh up. It's like, how do I justify this? And it's one of the things when you're just starting off, people often ask, oh, should I have a VA? I don't know. How much are you making? You're going to pay them some money is, normally with a business when you're starting off, if you can do it, you just work harder and longer and do it because you're not making the income to justify it. So do you see that and stepping into tools that can really help you in that way?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that I use as a metric. One is I know what my hourly rate is because I've been a solopreneur for a really long time. So I leverage buying back my time for all kinds of things. So for example, I live alone. I still have a housekeeper. I still have a meal service that delivers because I know it's going to cost me more money to go to the grocery store than if I sat here and worked that extra hour. So I buy back my time any way that I can, and I can justify that because I do work that extra hour, or I write that extra chapter, or I do that thing that only I can do. The second thing, though, that I think is a little bit less quantifiable is the consistency part. So if I'm outsourcing something to a VA, I want to be sure that the return on that investment is not just the time savings, but also is that VA doing it as well as I would do it? And that's kind of where I make the choice between automation and delegation, because if I can automate it, it might take me more time to set up that automation than if I just handed it off to somebody. But over time, the consistency of brand voice, the consistency of the images that are created, the consistency of posting times is more worth it to me than if I just handed it off and gotten it off my plate. So there's a couple of things that I use just as a rubric for deciding what is an effective use of my time and money for that. The other thing that I think in terms of what I see with authors is they don't understand how long something might take until they've done it themselves.
Yes, very true.
Wow. You're very accusatory, man.
I'm just throwing truth bombs at you, Doug. I'm sorry. But it is important for you to understand every aspect of your business so that when you do hire or you do delegate or automate, you know what it is that you're actually delegating and automating and how long it takes so that you're not taken advantage of by unscrupulous characters that might charge you $300 for a $30 job, because that's very, very true in the world. And believe me, I'm not telling anybody how much to charge for certain things, but I do think that you need to decide how much that job is worth and then find somebody that will meet that need. That's, Fiverr or Upwork or wherever you're finding people. Be sure you understand that job thoroughly before you delegate it.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think that's, as we're talking about, when you're first starting off, should you get the help? If you've set aside a chunk of money to invest in your author business, then maybe. But, you won't then do the functions of those roles and understanding it. It's important to do, because otherwise you'll have no way of knowing whether they're doing a good job or not doing a good job in a lot of ways. And there are some, I have a fantastic VA who I've it's been a blessing for me and a huge help. And she just does certain things. So like the social media stuff, she handles some of the creation and she handles all the scheduling of posting. But I do a lot of the creative because I like doing it. And I'm very, I really want it done the way I want it and the look to be done and the certain ways and things like that. So I'll give her the content and then she'll schedule it and do all that stuff. And she's super efficient with her time. So, and one of the great things when you do get to that level and you can have somebody to be supportive there are times where you've got too much on your plate. And you have that outlet now that you have that option, right? You have that like release valve. You can go, okay, I just don't have time to do this right now. Go for it. You've seen how I've done it before and just do it. So I think that's great.
One of the things that we did that I think was really important to us is that we didn't replace anybody. When we started having our social media automated, we shifted that person's role to be more proactive, to do the thing that only the human can do. So they engage, they put out polls, they reach out to people proactively. We didn't replace the person with automation. We just shifted them so that they just did the human stuff, because we want the humans doing the human stuff and we want the bots to do the boring stuff.
And it's kind of feel like we're kind of touching on this a little bit, but like especially these new emerging authors, and we see them online a lot talking about maybe they don't have the money for a VA yet, or they don't think they do. But I guess the question is, what ways can we use automation as somebody who's going from, I'm just doing a book to book. I'm a new author. I wrote my first book. I'm getting my second book. And that's all I think about. What kind of automation can I use to turn that into a business as opposed to just, and I hate to say hobby, but like you're not really taking it serious as a business. It's just your writing. And you've touched on several of them, but if I'm a new author, Nick, I told you I was going to reword this, and I just reworded it all over the place, didn't I?
So there's two
I'm
things.
going to ramble until the question pops out.
Shelle's going to bail you out. I feel it.
Listen,
yeah, she's
I got you. There's two things that I would say as a new author you should look at. The first is, I always call it a suck list. What are the things that you have to do that suck? For me, it was social media. I have that
list too, but it's different.
For other people, it might be, launch plans and making sure that they're doing newsletter swaps. Those are the kinds of things that you have to look at your capacity and what do you hate to do, right? And those are the things that you can either automate or delegate. So then the second thing is are there replicatable tasks that you can do? So for example, launches. Most people have a launch sequence that they do, right? They set up their social media, they set up their newsletter swaps, they set up their Facebook takeovers, they set up all of the things. So if there is a replicatable list of things that you can do, you can automate that. And if you can't automate it directly, you can automate at least the reminder of it so that you know that it's going to happen in a certain cadence on a certain date relative to the launch list. So for example, in Claude Cowork, and in Storyteller, we have a list where you say, my book launches April 15th, and it knows the 27 tasks, and it will assign a date based on your previous launch list. So it knows when all of those things should happen, and it will send the email out for the newsletter swap. It will follow up with that person if you don't hear back from it. It will put them into the spreadsheet as contacted. It will handle all of the automation as well as a VA could do it, and actually better because it's more consistent for things. So, look at things that you don't want to do. That's the obvious low-hanging fruit. And then the second is anything that you can replicate, you can automate.
That's brilliant. There's some nuggets in there, that's for sure. And of course, anyone can contact you, Chelle, and get some coaching on any of this stuff and advice. And I'm probably going to be a customer coming up in the next couple of weeks.
That's a lot of stuff to come out, and I'm so intrigued by all of it because I could be, sit here at your feet and write down notes all day long. So
it's a lot. I mean, start slow. That's the biggest thing is. Understand understand what you're trying to do, keep your objective in mind. And, if you go to chellehoniker.com, that kind of gives you the jumping off point to all the ways and things and articles. Author Automations is a free newsletter, so you can go read about all the things.
All in our links too, so you can get them in the show notes.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, I just didn't realize how many people needed help with that kind of stuff. So happy to share what I'm learning. I really, really believe that there's never been a better time to be an indie author. Indie meaning taking charge of your career. I genuinely believe that we have as many $1 million solopreneurs as possible in our industry right now. People can have $1 million businesses running them by themselves right now.
We're both hoping so. All right. So we have one more question for you before we let you go. Thanks for all the time you've given us here, Chelle. But we have a wheel that we spin, a wheel of questions.
Okay.
So you're going to be landed with a random one here.
Get the sound effects too. We could automate this, you know.
You could automate
I was going to say, Shell's just thinking, like, why the hell do they have that thing? They could just press a button.
I would love this. Let's just automate this. So
I've just written you a bot. I'll send it over.
Send me a bot. Okay. What is your current, because everybody can change a little bit, but your current secret food obsession?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to tell. It's not really a secret, but it's sticky toffee pudding.
Oh.
Sticky toffee pudding.
It's literally the best. So I come over across the pond at least once a year, and I'm there for some months sometimes. Last year I was there for 4 months. The year before that I was there for 3 months. And it is no secret. I actually have an Instagram of just the sticky toffee pudding stops.
Oh my God. That's
Scotland,
a good obsession.
Ireland. I actually had pretty good sticky toffee pudding in Amsterdam, believe it or not.
Wow.
Who knew?
Who'd have thought? What's yours, Doug?
I currently, only because they just came out and I haven't seen them in forever, but Hostess put out strawberry Twinkies for spring. And I remember those as a kid, and I was like, so I bought 2 boxes of them, and I keep them in my bedroom so that I have bedroom snacks,
Doug's is a Twinkie. Dude, you just went with Twinkie.
Ever? What do you want? Twinkies have been around forever.
They will be around forever. They don't need refrigerating. You can just...
Oh my, yes, because your culture is so great with food. Other than sticky toffee pudding, what do you have? Blood pudding?
That's not my culture. That's Scots.
They've got chocolate oranges. Terry's chocolate oranges.
Oh my gosh, chocolate oranges are disgusting. My daughter loves those. First of all, why would you want orange and chocolate together? That's 2 flavors that I just find.
What?
I'm sorry.
Nearly as good as raspberry and chocolate.
It's not. Raspberry and chocolate makes sense. Oranges and chocolate, just no.
No, you're mad.
You might as well do chocolate and avocado, which I'm pretty sure is what Dubai chocolate is, but I haven't proved that. So.
Oh my God. I got mine's. There's rock cakes at the local local bakery here. They make these things called rock cakes. They're basically like a currant bun, and they're
like a currant bun.
Little dangerous.
It's currently a bun.
No, currant bun. Shell knows what I'm talking about. You uncultured swine do not, Doug. You Mr. Twinkie. You are now known as Mr. Twinkie.
Said, yeah, that's. I could have gone with the McRib, but it's not in season right now. So
oh my God.
Oh my God. That's it. We're ending there. Shell, thank you so much.
It's a secret. Yeah, we're not supposed to be shaming.
You're revealing too much. I'm saving you from yourself.
This is why I pretend to be Canadian a lot.
Thank you so much, Chelle. That was like drinking from a fire hose. There's so much information there.
I was impressed and surprised at the depth of automating
of things you didn't know you didn't know you didn't know. Yeah,
exactly. You don't know what you don't know, right? So it was like, woof. Yeah.
Now, some of the things she talked about, I did. Like we talked about Zapier, and that's one of the ones I've used before. But some of the other ones, I was like, okay, well, and I know you and I both use automation in our newsletter, and that's a no-brainer. And I've done a little bit of social media automation way back in the day when I used to be on Twitter and stuff like that. But, it's just one of those things that I kind of moved away from. I'm intrigued with how you can use this Claude Cowork to do it. So,
yeah, definitely some food for thought in there. And with all these things, you've got to pick your poison, right? You've got to pick what'll work best for you. These are rabbit holes you can dive down and end up spending so much time in to not actually save you that much time in the end. But she knows those systems, so well worth getting in touch with Chelle. And I'm pretty sure if you contact Chelle and go, hey, do a consultation for a little bit, go, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm doing,
She's going to come back with the right answers for you.
Yeah, get you from A to B really quickly.
It is always amazing how we get these smart people on here who have such amazing thoughts that I just had never thought about. So
yeah, great content. So cool. Thank you to Chelle. Support the show on Patreon if you would, if you get value from it, from folks like Chelle. Jump over to Patreon. We have lots of bonus stuff in there. We had a bonus question with Chelle that was really cool. That'll be for our Patreon subscribers. Big thanks to our friends at Vellum for their support. Always, you guys rock.
Love them.
Best formatting software out there. Coolest purple out there.
I bet that link is in the show notes, isn't it?
Link is in the show notes.
You should click on it because Vellum is the best. I didn't tell you, my daughter came in the other day and was asking about formatting books. And I was like, She asked about, I can format on this. I was like, yeah, you can, but it won't be right. Just go to Vellum. I got it right over here. So
yeah, this is how we'll do it.
Yeah, it's a piece of cake.
One-stop shop. Cool. Yep. All the links will be in the show notes, so check them out. And until next time, be cool to each other.
Fair winds and following seas.
You've been listening to the Two Authors Podcast with Nicholas Harvey and Douglas Pratt. Subscribe on your favorite platform for new shows coming every week.